Hey, what's up guys? It's C-Stacks here, back at No Limit Gaming. We wrapped up the YCS Columbus Genesys Main event this weekend. Why don't you introduce yourself real quick and tell us what you did?
Yeah, I'm Michael DiMisa. I got 32nd in the Genesys Main event playing Elfnote Centurion Cool Tune.
Nice, just snuck in there at 32nd, right?
Exactly. Yep, snuck in day 2. I think I was 58th on day 1 and then 32nd on day 2, which is a final record of 7 and 3. Yeah.
All right, why don't you go ahead and...
Maybe 8 and 3. I forget which, but yeah.
Yeah.
7 and 4.
Yeah. Why don't you show us the deck, explain some of your choices, and tell us where the points are.
All right, sounds good. So we'll start with the elf notes. We've got 3 Tinia. She's your best starter because you can use her with an extra monster and not need your normal. 3 Lucina. She's your second best starter, but she does require you to use your normal summon. 1 Fortuna. She's an engine requirement. You just sort of need her so you can get to the trap card. 15 points on Elfnote Power Patron. It's just the one of, you need to run it because you need the patron to start your synchro plays. And then to round out the Elfnote main decks, we're on 1 Welcome Home and 1 Rhapsodia. Welcome Home has some cool interactions I'll touch on briefly moving forward, but Rhapsodia is just crazy to negate any card without targeting. And so that's our Elfnote package. For Centurion, we are on 2 Primera. I believe these are 2 points apiece or 1 point apiece. I forget which, but I know for a fact that these plus the Trudeas are 3 points per pair. So this was 6 points. The idea was that the elf notes can make synchro 8s really easily to bridge into Centurions, and then the Centurions, specifically Auxilla, protects your Welcome Home and your Rhapsodia while adding just a lot of annoying interaction on the opponent's turn. 1 Gargoyle, you have to run it because you don't want to run Emmet, and 1 Atri because sometimes you need a tuner, but sometimes you want it to be a non-tuner, and drawing the card comes up a lot. 5 points apiece on 2 copies of Stand-Up Centurion. I wasn't trying to max out on the Centurions. I still wanted non-engine points. So 2s of all the good starters and then 1s of the engine requirements was what I was going with. Seeing someone try to Ghost Ogre this or destroy this in response to this effect is really funny because you just chain one of your 3 copies of Emblema Oath and then it's protected and they are not too happy. I've had that happen several times. And then the other Centurion engine requirements are 1 Wake Up, which is really strong, and then 1 Phalanx, which is alright, it's really good in the grind games, and when you draw it, you're fine to either hold it, or if you don't want it, you can pitch it to revive any of your Centurion synchros as interruption or as protection. Finally, I was playing Cool Tunes. Not a huge package, but they're all 0 points that I was playing, so it's 3 copies of Mix, 1 Reco, and 3 Synchro Overtake. The idea is Remix into RS is really crazy. It's a Monster Pop, a Spell Trap Pop, a Face-Up Card Negate, and it's a level modulation. And then also with the Elf Notes, 2 plus 6 equals 8 to make Centurion Primera Primus. So you're able to use these to bridge into Centurion, and then revive the the Cool Tune later on to end on the Remix. It was really strong. I feel like bumping this up and adding copies of Duelist Genesis would be a good idea. I just did not do it. And then our non-engine, 2 Nib. I would have liked to play 3, but the points were tight, but these are 6 points apiece. 3 Fua for 7 points apiece. I feel like if you can run Fua, it's really strong because the Genesis end boards are good, but forcing them to play under Fualos is really hard for most of them without giving you 4 or 5 draws. So they'll sometimes choose not to, which will make their board weaker. And if they choose to play into it, you get enough non-engine or extra pushes to play into that board. And then 3 DD Crow, they're 1 point apiece, and I just needed other cards to draw. It comes up a lot to just rip stuff out of the Pumpkin end board or just any sort of... I used it I hard drew 2 of them against Madolche, and it just won me the game because they kept trying to revive their Madolches, and they just weren't engraved to revive. Konami made Illusion Gate 0 points, so we're playing Illusion Gate. I feel like in Genesis you want main deck board breakers more so than the actual small. Board breakers are just high impact hand traps, and Illusion Gate fits that bill really well. I almost played Darkhole because of the Mimigul matchup, but I wanted to spend those points on DD Crow, so I played Illusion Gate instead. I did play Mimigul, but luckily I never needed the Darkhole. The one game that I went second, I was just losing it no matter what I was doing. And then 2 copies of Final Bringer. It can come up with funny situations when you're targeting something in your middle monster zone that's protected off Welcome Home, or targeting one of your 5 or higher Centurions that's protected by Primera. So my stuff doesn't get destroyed, but yours does. Moving on to the extra deck. Elfnote Strelitzia, it just on its own can auto-win certain Synchro and Xyz matchups. Making the Exo Sisters level 1s is really fun. Making your Synchro material level 2 when you need to make Synchro 10s is disgusting. And then the Revive effect is great. I feel like Black Rose is mandatory. I never made it, but going second, it is just your way to use Elf Notes to just attempt to break a board. You can chain block it with the patron if you want, or you can use it to chain block the patron. Ancient Fairy, I never made it, but the idea is with certain hands of Cool Tunes, you need a way to special the extra Cool Tune name out of the hand, and Ancient Fairy was that way. With Strelitzia, it's really easy to make the Crystal Wing on like summon 4 or 5, so you're protected from Nib, and then you just use it to keep climbing. 2 Primera Primus, 2 just because you can make it as on a follow-up turns as an extra disruption that also searches you follow-up, and reviving it from the graveyard makes it undestroyable by battle, which is surprisingly hard to out sometimes. I never made this, but Cyber/Harpy Lady, when I activate either the Elfnote trap card or any Centurion back row, I can chain this to bounce an opponent's monster, or even when they activate a spell trap card or effect, it can just bounce an opponent's monster as a weird interrupt on a level 8, and I just wanted a level 8 interrupt for Centurions. Excel Synchro is how you get your way back into the Cool Tunes most of the way through combo. You use it, revive, mix, and then you use the mix and the Reco from hand. On the end board, you can either end on an extra level 12 or an extra level 10. So the level 10 that I chose was Chenying, because Phalanx can banish itself to trigger the Chenying, RS can banish to trigger the Chenying, or they can try and destroy the Chenying, which will also trigger it. I'm on 1 Auxilla, it's 33 points, it's the biggest engine requirement of the deck, but it just says search any Centurion card, and it also protects the Elfnote continuous spell and trap as well, which is really strong. 1 Legadia, you could play 2, I chose 1, there's no wrong answer there, but it can draw you deeper, and protecting your small monsters by battle is nice. But the main 12 you make on the opponent's turn is Vengeance Dragon. It's just a pop 2 essentially, and it forces a monster into the back row before you do so. Also with Vengeance, you can try to destroy your own Welcome Home as the continuous spell if you really wanted to, and then Auxilla ends up protecting the Welcome Home anyways. And then the last 12 is Lulu Lilith. It's really the only negate in the deck that's a level 12, because Blazar and Crimson Dragon are just too many points, but also in end phase, if you haven't used Primera to search, if it goes to grave, you can just summon another Primera on the opponent's end phase. And then 1 Remix, 1 RS. I considered 2 RS, but it could have come up, and I think the only time would have been with Fairy Tale Luna. But ending on Remix just adds the pop of the monster, the spell trap, and then ending on the RS is just really strong in Genesis, because people care about their levels, unless they're playing fusions. For the side deck, you'll see a lot of familiar cards from other side decks. 3 Gamma Seal, it can be any kaiju, I just chose Gamma Seal because smallest attack, but technically if you wanted Santa Claus to do stuff with Fiendsmith's Tract, you could. 3 Shared Rides are just Mulch Armies for going first. When they add from deck or grave, except by drawing, you get to draw, so it can force them to play suboptimally. 3 Twin Twisters as my back row hate. These could have been twins. I could have played Cosmics or MST, but Twin was just the one I wanted to deal with large volumes of back row, so I chose Twin. And then the whole reason I chose to play a Synchro deck at the event in the first place is 3 copies of Gravity Collapse. Unless you're playing against a fusion deck, this can just end your opponent's turn if you draw into it. So certain times after siding, you'll cycle through Atri and Legadia to just try and draw 2 cards deeper to draw into the Gravity Collapse. And then I was afraid of Clown Crew and Monarch as well as them just kaiju on my board. So 3 copies of Massacre Strict to prevent the kaijus, and it just makes Clown Crew and Monarch just unable to play the game if you get to it. Also, once it's flipped face up, Auxilla protects it so they can't even destroy it by card effects.
Nice.
And that's the deck.
Can you tell us just briefly about some of your tournament experiences and the matchups that you played against?
Yeah, so I played against GMX. That was a weird one because there was a weird database issue where the trap card wasn't in the database. That caused some weird, it caused it to just disappear from his list. I played against RDA, Mimighoul, Doug Zeef on Exosister, where he soundproofed me when he was going second, which was crazy. Radiant Typhoon. Like, what was really enjoyable was I played against a different deck every round. I did not play against two decks at all, which I really liked, because if I played the advanced format, it would be a majority Cool Tune, Branded, or Doomsday, and maybe like one or two other decks the entire day. And I enjoy the variety of 11 rounds of Swiss, and no two decks are the same.
Well, congratulations on your top 32 finish. Very exciting. Hopefully next time you can take it all the way.
That's the plan.
Any shout outs you want to give before we sign off?
Thanks to Rob and Lucas for testing and helping me figure out how to play Elfnotes in the first place. Nate and Chris Weber for helping me with other testing against the matchups that I don't like playing against, but I have to learn how to play anyways. And No Limit Gaming for having Genesis locals every week so that I can actually get the time to test against a whole bunch of random decks. We have 8 people that have 8 different decks, and it's always fun to play against something new every week.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for the deck profile, and congrats again.
Yep.